The future of this nation lies in the school bags of our children. Profound statement, yeah? By a show of hands, how many of us really remembers this statement? I can give yourself a round of applause for that. That's a remarkable statement. This profound statement, done by the late Dr. Eric Williams, carries much sentimental value with it, since it focuses solely on academia. However, times have changed, and the focus has been drawn from something a little bit more wholesome. The way forward is through holistic development. Now, what exactly is holistic development? A holistic approach to child's development, it seeks to address the physical, emotional, relational, intellectual, and not ignoring the spiritual aspects of a child. These are all performed simultaneously. I repeat, they are all performed simultaneously in a hope to uplift the qualities of a youth towards their development.
It is our belief that there are three main socializing agents of a child. Firstly, his family, then the school in which he attends, and then his place of worship, whether it be the temple, the church, or the mosque. These three main institutions are charged with the responsibility of molding a youth, providing him with the proper facilities and the proper mentorship to assist in his physical, his emotional, relational, intellectual, and spiritual development. Our presentation here this afternoon, seeks to pinpoint the celebration of Ramleela and show how participation promotes the holistic development of the youth.
Social diversity in Ramleela. Participating in Ramleela affords youths the opportunity to meet, mingle with each other, and the ability to form bonds and friendships with youths of different ages and various social diverse backgrounds. Ramleela now becomes the ideal playing field and the most optimum setting whereby caste, race, religion, nor class suffers no discrimination nor hostility. This thereby allows youths to develop themselves and make new relationships that is second to none. And thereby, it provides a social setting to ensure that youths mingle with each other and peers of different various backgrounds, whereby they can maintain that good company and promote their own development.
Now, let's speak about Ramleela as an extracurricular activity. Now, to get accepted into the university right here at the University of the West Indies, or universities worldwide, you not only need to have a full certificate at the A-levels, but it is mandatory now to have extracurricular activities on your resume. Ramleela provides a safe and positive way to secure these extracurricular points for your acceptance into these universities. Now, as my co-presenter just spoke to you all about, the interactions among the youths while they take part in Ramleela, the friendships they make, this interaction, this ability to socialize and mingle among peers is one that is now seen as desirable in the workplace. To get employment, you not only need a resume full of academic achievements, but you are required to attend an interview. This interview is to assess the individual and his ability to work together and communicate effectively with his co-workers, his superiors, and most importantly, his customers. All these managers and entrepreneurs we have in the crowd, I'm sure you can attest to this fact. Now, participation in Ramleela fosters this ability to work in a team and amongst persons of various backgrounds.
We watch a slide and might laugh. See, some parents today believe that their child's participation in Ramleela is a great distraction to their schoolwork and, by extension, their academia. I stand before you here this evening to say that's false. That is wrong. Needless to say, this is not the norm. And on the contrary, youths participating in Ramleela from a young age have done remarkably well. I repeat, have done remarkably well in their academia. So this is not an excuse. It includes a successful certificate of SC results and their passing for prestigious secondary schools.
We have a classic example. Sandhya Suku. Does that name ring a bell to anyone? Anyone knows who is Sandhya Suku? Sandhya Suku placed first in the SCA results this year. Sandhya Suku has been, since a very young age, has been a member of the Knox Street and Environment Sports and Cultural Association, Ramleela, since a very young age. Again, showing that Ramleela is not a distraction to your schoolwork.
Additionally, many youths participating in Ramleela have gone on to obtain a full successful certificate at the ordinary and the advanced levels in secondary schools. Many of these youths have also proceeded on to winning open and national scholarships, thereby representing themselves, their family, and even their country and their Ramleela group. We have seen many of our youths in Ramleela have gone on to study at the tertiary level. They've gone on to study engineering, law, medicine, pharmacology, just to name a few. So why is there an excuse? What is there to say that Ramleela is a distraction to your schoolwork? We have also gone on to explore the opportunity that many youths have gone on onto different various career fields. They've become engineers, doctors, lawyers, businessmen, philanthropists, pilot. Again, reiterating my initial point that Ramleela is not a distraction to your schoolwork. So there's no reason for parents to come with any Nancy-dancy excuse as to why their children should not participate in Ramleela annually. Now, how does Ramleela encourage responsibility? Youths of today are the leaders of tomorrow. Is there anyone who does not agree to this statement? Thank you. By allowing youths the opportunity to star in major roles, it fosters a sense of pride and a responsibility within themselves at such a position. Let me give you a little history about Knox Street. When the Ramleela celebration started at the Knox Street Recreation Ground in the year 2000, the production team was composed of older heads in the community. We don't want to call any names, but some of them are sitting in the crowd right now. You know who you are. They started with the hope that one day, just maybe one day, there will come a time where they can take a back seat and the youths will now be able to hold this production and foster the entire Ramleela production. Today, I stand before you proud to say that the older heads would agree with me, mission accomplished. At Knox Street Sports Recreation Ground, their dreams have now become a reality, and they can now take a back seat and just supervise the production as they look at the youths. The same ones who started in minor roles have now gone on onto hosting the entire production and overseeing the entire production. Again, a little history. The narrator or director of the very first portrayal of Ramleela at the Knox Street Sports Recreation Ground was a pundit well into his 60s. Today, you all are very much fortunate to be in the presence of the current director and producer of Knox Street Recreation Ground, my very own co-presenter, Mitra Maharaj, a youth yet to turn 20. The youths are therefore able to take this experience outside of the Ramleela community and therefore hold executive positions where they can meet friends and mingle with peers and therefore uplift themselves and uplift Sanatan Dharma.
Now, participation in Ramleela for a child is an interactive way to learn the teachings of the Ramayana, and so promoting his spiritual development. By acting in the Ramleela, the youths learn of the stories of Sri Ram from before Vishnu Bhagwan takes avatar to the destruction of Ravan and Lanka. Youths that participate in Ramleela year after year are able to go out now and teach other young Hindus about the adventures of Sri Ram, Lakshman Bhaiya, Sita Mata, and Hanumanji. They are able to promote and uplift Sanatan Dharma outside of their Ramleela grounds now. They learn about the loyalty of Lakshman Bhaiya to his brother Sri Ram, the unending love and devotion of Hanumanji, the absolute purity in the relationship between Sita Mata and Sri Ram, and of course, the obedience and the willingness of Sri Ram to listen to his father's orders without question. Now, aren't these the qualities you want your children to model? The children that take part in Ramleela, these youths, these very youths, they learn about these qualities in Sri Ram and Lakshman Bhaiya, Sita Mata, Hanumanji, and they incorporate it into their own lives, model their own lives after these great deities. The young men model their life after Sri Ram or Lakshman Bhaiya, and the young ladies, Sita Mata.
Now, my audience, let's remember the 5 key elements of holistic development. We have touched previously on the emotional, relational, intellectual, and spiritual aspects, which leaves me to talk about the physical development through Ramleela. It must be noted that Ramleela promotes the physical development of any youth involved in it. By attending practice sessions, youths are therefore able to learn the Ramleela dance. The dance is an art used by the actors, whereby they portray their movement from one place to another. Through various training exercises, the actors' fitness is greatly improved. Additionally, training for the war and fight scenes beforehand, it serves as a practice session for the day itself. It therefore promotes the fitness and therefore physical development of a child. Ask any individual here who takes part in Ramleela and how tedious and tiring it is to actually train for that fight scene and that war scene. And they would agree just how the physical development is fostered. We now have a short video to play highlighting the Ramleela dance.
So that was just a little small video presentation to show those of you who don't know what the Ramleela dance looks like. Now, as we conclude here today, we just like to go back through a few of the main points that we brought about here this morning. The 3 main socializing agents of children. Firstly, the home, the school, and its place of worship. Ramleelas and extracurricular activities, aiding you in to gain acceptance to the university and as an essential part of your resume to secure employment. Building responsibility. We give you the example of the Knox Street Ramleela, where the youths have taken over that production team. And I'm sure that scenario takes place in various Ramleela groups throughout the country. And where they use this experience outside of the Ramleela group to go and hold executive positions in various groups. We also went on to show you all how Ramleela brings about the ability to socialize among peers, and using this ability to socialize to secure, again, employment by using this as an advantage to impress an employer in an interview. one of the main points in our presentation this morning. Ramleela is not a distraction to your studies and your academia. So as we've shown you here this evening, Ramleela can play a huge role in the holistic development of a child by enhancing his physical, his emotional, relational, intellectual, and spiritual aspects of his development. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for your attention this evening. We hope you enjoyed our presentation.
Thank you very much. We have had a very disciplined panel. We are really on time. And we open the floor now for a few minutes of brief comments and questions.
The history of the different castes. I just would like to know, where did you get that information as to how much the proportions of Brahmins and whatnot for that presentation?
From an academic article by Pointing. If you would like the reference itself, I could give it to you. It's from an article, and that's where he states the different proportions. Noted that I also had 14% unaccounted, because the actual figures that he gave he didn't write 17% or how much of it was unaccounted. He just had the other figures, which didn't add up to 100.
Because I know from our archives that the difficulty in get correct name much just to get like the cast of the immigrants that came in. And for the young men here that just presented, you all have a bright future ahead of you all. I want to thank you very much. You have really reacted to my sense of love. And I think that the one thing that you missed, that in terms of Ramleela and children, is Ramleela encourages love for Sri Ram. It develops that love. And one of the examples for the academia, in our Ramleela especially, we had a student of medicine, while he had exams and we was conducting our Ramleela, he had structured himself 2 months before to prepare, and he would have take his time and come down to to perform. He was at Sri Ram and perform, and as soon as he finished, he had transport to come back, and that is the type of love and devotion that Ramleela brings about in our people, and I want to encourage everybody to be part of Ramleela. Thank you.
I want to add something to the last speaker. It's happy to see young people and what people call academia doing. In Maclean, for instance, we have a consultant in Dr. Bahar who plays Ramleela every year. And he finds all the time, consultants are busy people, so do with the student, or in any course you do. The ability to be part of your society shows the character of the individual. And if you're not there, you can build good character by being part of it. And as far as, everybody writes caste. Trinidad have no caste. You see, when you have to catch your these sides together, you drop out all your trappings. I am married to a Singh. My grandfather was from Bhojpur. We are Brahmins. So what do? My children are SWT. In English that means whatever. That doesn't deny them to be what they are. And what all these things about rituals and rituals do. You see, love for God, and today is not the time for that. Meet me any other time, and I will explain to you why this period of menstruation is true. I don't know where you get it from. Get it from me.
Any questions? Professor Samru, do you have something to say about this proportion? You've done a lot of work in history of the indentured Indians who came.
Yeah, I think she should do a little more work on that. I could talk to her because your percentages are really not accurate. I don't think Jeremy Pointing has himself done any work, so we could talk about fixing up your percentages. But one of the things I wanted to commend you on is the way you pronounced the Indian name so correctly. It is not something that people know. But I think it's a time to say them exactly as how they are meant to be said.
If there are no more questions, I think we'll wrap it here and thank the panel and hand over to.
Yeah, well, let me, on your behalf, thank Suniti and the panelists. I just want to echo what this gentleman said a little while ago. This panel has written the syllabus for the teaching of the Ramleela program. They had such good ideas. So you see, they have made the job of people like me easy. I will only have to go and write now what they said. So I have to congratulate them and to assure them that they have given us really a blueprint for the Remind course that is going to be started by UTT in September. Right, so that brings us to an end of the formal sessions, the panels and so on. What we are now going to do, and I wouldn't like us to go for more than about half an hour, is to answer the question, where do we go from here? What normally happens on occasions like this, we meet 2 days and we talk a lot and we get a lot of ideas and so on. And after that, everything collapses until we meet another 3, 4, 5 years again. What is to happen from now on? How are we going to perpetuate the teaching of Ramleela and the Ramayana and the values that come from those studies? So, you know, I'd like you all, as many of you as possible, to remain and contribute to the question, where do we go from here? And I want to ask Dr. Sat Balkaran Singh, who has, ever since we started on Friday, he has been pursuing the idea. He has, in fact, written a kind of a paper on where we go from here. So I want to ask Dr. Balkaran Singh to come and briefly summarize those ideas which you have been working on for the last few days. And after he's done that, I wish as many of you as possible can add to what he has to say, so that we don't leave here today and everything mash up, everything is khatam. We must continue. So Sat, I wonder if you could come and make your presentation.
Thank you, Professor Samaru. You know, it is amazing. We are talking about Ramleela, and we are talking about the Ramleela and Ramayana tradition. This is really very important. Thank you, Mrs. Ramsubik. You know, the more I am involved with the National Ramleela Council, the more I am understanding what it has taken from you and people like you to keep the organization going and to have arrived at this point where we are proposing new things for its development further. This is a resolution, really, which, having started the work, the conceptualization and initiation of the national, the first international conference, it was felt, and I made the proposal to the advisors and to Mrs. Ramsubik on the proposal for the establishment of a World Ramleela Council. Why? And I would just give a few of the points and explain. The Sri Ram story has underlying philosophical, spiritual, socio-economic, political dimensions and is an ancient story of economic proportions, but is as relevant today as it was then, and would be way into the future. It is as much literary as it is spiritual. It is religious as it is secular, non-religious, always relevant to the contemporary times. And contemporary times in the 18th century, those who lived then, was contemporary then. 19th, 20th century, it was contemporary then. This is the 21st century, it is still contemporary, meaning now, for now. Sri Ram lived or was born in Treta Yuga, thousands of years ago, we don't know. But the story is relevant. And therefore, relevant from a dramatic interpretation, it has taken roots in the entire Indian diaspora and the whole of Southeast Asia. Therefore, you're talking about a story and Ramleela that has now gone to an Indian diaspora of more than 37 million people. 22 non-resident Indians, people of Indian origin, and if we consider the gypsies who left India 1,000 years ago, there are about 15 million of them. We're beyond 37 million people, of which the Ramleela has relevance. And in a gathering of this nature, where you have spiritual guides, where you have religious leaders, where you have gurus, you have scholars, intellectuals, researchers, and artistic personages, I think we thought this was an ideal environment to introduce it. Of course, it talks about space and place, and this place has become sacred because it was on the inauguration day, it was made sacred. And therefore, you can sanctify the entire world with Ramleela, making it sacred space. Therefore, we should not let this conflagration of events just slip by. And we are aware that UNESCO, and I want to recognize Professor Molly Kaushal, the organization that she has come from in India, the Indira Gandhi National Center for the Arts, who made the proposal to UNESCO, and Ramleela has become, right, a World Heritage folk form. IGNCA is represented here through Molly. And therefore, since it is already represented, it is recognized by UNESCO, why not have a World Ramleela Council?
Right, okay, yes, the Surinamese have a presentation to make, and could you, yeah, I'm very glad you reminded me. Right, so could the Surinamese, and after that, I will ask Dr. Premnath Gupta to come and just wind up the conference with a vote of thanks and his own comments as the chairman of the organizing committee.
We are very proud that Trinidad take the initiative to organize this international conference. And by the opening ceremony, Friday, a lot of names, institutions, organizations were mentioned who worked very hard for this conference. We think we have some gifts for them. And I think we have, let's begin by Dr. Satnarayan Balkaran Singh. Maybe you can come here on the podium. For your initiative and work out the World Ramleela Council. We thank you very much for your initiative, and we work very hard. We met already in Suriname.
Go.
I accept on behalf of the National Ramleela.
Dr. Premnath Gupta, he is the chair of the conference. We are very very hard. We were 2 months ago, 6 weeks ago in Suriname. You visit me home. We have the dinner together. Thank you very much. We make me poll. We have to start with the lady. We end with the lady. This is Kamlawati Ramsey. Friday, official we start here 6 o'clock, but not official we start 11 o'clock in the morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right, so let me thank the Surinamese delegation for that very kind gesture in honoring those 3 persons who really, they have chosen very well regarding those who conceptualized and planned the conference. So I wish to thank them on your behalf. So finally, to ask Dr. Premnath Gupta to come and just make a few concluding remarks.
First of all, I want to thank the National Ramleela Council and particularly Mrs. Kamalwati Ramsubik, who took this proposal to the council to have this conference. I want you to give Mrs. Ramsubik a round of applause, because without her taking it and selling it to the council, this international conference would not have been possible. I want to thank all those who have helped, who have worked in some way or the other towards making this conference a success. There are so many names to be called. I will just be very general. All the ushers who have done a tremendous job. I want the ushers to know that we have been receiving very, very good reports about them, and all of this is voluntary. And I want to say thank you very much to the ushers, to the people who are doing the registration, and so on. These are the unheralded heroes. We don't really talk about them, but without them, the success of this conference, no matter how much planning would have gone into it, if their job was not done well, it would have fallen down, because we would have received so many complaints. I'm not getting this, I'm not seeing this, I'm not doing that. So I want to thank them very, very much. I want to also thank the, as I said, the National Ramleela Council of Trinidad and Tobago, the University of the West Indies, the UTT, the Ministry of National Diversity and Social Integration, Ministry of Arts and Multiculturalism, and all the others who have contributed financially and or otherwise. All the presenters who have done a tremendous job. There were people who were very concerned that would we get local people to do presentations, and I'm very proud of our local people, particularly for rising to the occasion and doing themselves very, very proud, and doing Trinidad and Tobago very, very proud. I want you to give them a very round of applause, very hearty round of applause. So they've done very well. Our international presenters have done very well from the various countries, the United States, from Canada, from Holland, from India, from Mauritius, and from Suriname. We say thank you very much for being here with us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We say thanks very much to our 2 keynote speakers who spoke on Friday. I saw it on today's newspapers. They were featured. There was a feature on today's Express with respect to, I saw it online this morning before I left. So that's nice. It was aired. I want to thank the 2 day chairs particularly. They eased up my burden. Otherwise, I would have been up and down throughout the day. Dr. Sat Balkaran Singh and Dr. Samaru, for the tremendous job that they have done to hold these things together. We want to say thanks to all those who have contributed. In the planning, there was a planning committee that met very, very often. And these people, I want to say thanks very much for the committee. I mentioned the committee on Friday night. I want to particularly thank Dr. Samaru, who has been behind the scenes, giving advice. And I tell him sometimes, he's like, that senior, that real person with all that experience, just sitting there, and you ask him one question, and he gives you an answer in just a few words. But those words are words of wisdom. Dr. Samaru, you have guided me through this conference. This is the first time I've organized a conference of this nature, and he has helped me tremendously. I want to say thanks. I want to say thanks to Roll Gibbons. He's here. Where is he? Has he left? I want to say thanks very much to Roll Gibbons, to Sat, and the other people on the organizing committee, Chamandat, Maraj, and all the others who were there from time to time, who have helped and who have worked tremendously hard to bring this conference to fruition. It was not a one-man effort, it was a team effort. I want to ask you to give a round of applause to conference team 2013 for the first international conference. Of course, we cannot forget our young IT people led by Dinesh Arjun and these two other young guys who have been doing a tremendous job. And this has been streamed live for the first time in the internet. It has been going on Friday, yesterday, and today, and they've done a tremendous job with putting this live on the internet. The only thing I would want to ask them to do is to find a way now to to have a permanent spot on the National Ramleela Council website so that we can see this whenever we want to look at ourselves or look at any other presentations.